Here's an update on the Richard Mueller flasks that I unpotted last year. I bought 2 flasks in different months from Sunset Valley Orchids. This tray right here is Mrs. Mahler by Richard Mueller, and it's done pretty well. There's a couple spots right here where stuff died, and I pulled them out, but for the most part, the plants have grown, and they haven't grown, I guess, as fast as I would have hoped. I haven't been giving them fertilizer or anything, but they're mostly alive, and I basically made them as plugs, and some of them and the plugs can now come out and go into like regular pots. This right over here is another tray. So I didn't have enough domes, and so I domed this one. I didn't dome the other one. It also has a few empty spots that are the result of stuff dying. This is, was it like Carnival Kids, or what was it, Gulf something? Gulfshore's Beauty, I believe, crossed to Richard Mueller. And it's also done mostly well. Interestingly, because I had the dome on it, and I potted both of these trays in New Zealand sphagnum moss, the one with the dome seems to have actually grown live moss. And I also want to pot these up. I mean, some of these, as you can tell, are dying, so they really need to come out of the moss. Probably a little bit too moist now that they're bigger. But as you can see, I'd like to keep this moss. This moss is really nice. It's the first time I've ever sprouted live sphagnum moss from dried moss. This is the dried moss that live moss came from. I got it from Nat's. He gets it, and I basically try to buy a bag of it from them every year when I'm there for the annual iOS picnic. But as you can see, it's pretty amazing. So that stuff right there was completely dry, and somehow there must have been seeds in this. And after almost a year in this tray, I have a whole bunch of live moss. I haven't had a really good success in, I guess, growing the moss long term. That Wisconsin sphagnum moss experiment that I was doing, all that moss did eventually die. I guess it got too hot and dry in the summer. I do have 2 more flasks. These are from the Louisiana Orchid connection, and maybe you saw the video where I tried to take the cotton out that they shipped it in. But as you can see, after like 4 or 5 months, this is really this. If I wanted to leave these in flasks, the plants really needed to be replated. They need to come out, put in new flasks, and plate it up. It's just too crowded, and you can see that they're starting to die in there. So this really needs to come out. But my attempt to keep it from being contaminated when taking the cotton out seems to have completely worked, because neither of these have contamination, as far as I can tell. And for the rest of my Labor Day weekend, I am going to try to get these into trays. Since the Cattleya flask has seedlings that are extremely small, I am going to soak them in seaweed before I pot them up. And I think I'm going to turn these into community pots since they're so small, rather than plugs. So you just need a little bit of seaweed, kind of help the roots along. I'm going to soak them in this bucket outside. The one nice thing about these containers from Louisiana Orchid Connection is that, you know, they're going to be really easy to get the plants out. They don't have a small neck. It's a big wide opening here. I'm just pulling off the parafilm that I put on to keep the top from coming off. So I got these, I think, what was it? April, and looks like they went into Flask last year in March 3/15/2023, and they're clearly senescing. So see, there's stuff dying in there. So let's see how it does. Just shake it out. There we go. And then this is like a pond basket, and I'm just gonna hose them apart. There we go. That was pretty easy. And now I am gonna soak them in the seaweed. So I'll just pick them up like this. Seaweed. And more seaweed. Seaweed. And there's not a, they're in clumps. Seaweed. There's the last bit right there. There we go. And I'm gonna let them soak for about 30 minutes. So I've taken what used to be the flask, and I punched some holes through it with a hot nail. And I'm gonna line it with sphagnum moss, and then I'm gonna plant the little clumps of seedlings into it. So here's the container filled with New Zealand sphagnum moss. I've squeezed the excess water out of it, and then I'm just gonna take like this. And I'm going to, these are long, pretty long, so I'm just going to tuck them gently into the moss, making holes with my fingers. That. So I'll have to do more than one container. Here are the 3 community pots of the Cattleya Cattleya, all done, and I put them in the same tray as that Golden Glory community pot that I really broke up, I guess. And those are plugs, but these are community pots. We'll see how they do. I did make their first watering, the seaweed water. Here is the Praystan's Concolor. This looks like it went into Flask last year in August. You can already see that it's bigger than the Cattleya alba. Alba forms are usually known for being weaker than colored forms of a species. Probably because the albas are missing some chlorophyll. Well, actually they're not, but somehow they're weaker, even though it's just the flowers that are missing color. So here is the plant, and that's just some cotton right there. And we will, I used that was to get the agar out of the seaweed so that I could use it for watering. So let's just put this in. Here we go. Oh, broke 2 roots. And you can see the roots are much longer on this as well. All right, let's hose it down. This is the other one. Of course, it almost immediately fell into clumps when I just rinsed the agar off, whereas this is still pretty entwined. So I'm gonna have to break this up some without breaking more roots, hopefully. And I think I don't know, maybe these could be individual. I'll have to see once I get them separated.